Knockdown 1. Ramirez up on his toes, tries to come in with the right hand, squares himself up and gets caught. But let's break it down a little bit more. Taylor's setting the trap. See the touch with the glove? What he's doing, he's looking to walk him back onto it. He's trying to occupy him with that little jab, feint, and then he shifts his weight back. But at that same time, Ramirez is now squared up. Taylor takes his head off centre line, dips his knees by changing levels, and then comes back with the left hand counter. It was a setup to absolute perfection. He walked Ramirez onto it. He used Ramirez's own balance against him. Beautiful. To some, this might be catching him off guard. For me, it's brilliant work from Taylor. We'll look at the feet of Ramirez. Ramirez is square on the inside. He's wrapping up. He's mentally switching off. He's complaining. He's moaning. In his mind, he wants to have a rest. Josh is side on. He creates separation, changes his intensity, pushes his hips back, and he's able to dip his knees and bring the uppercut to Ramirez, who's standing tall, who's switched off. As I say, he took a break. Elite fighters don't at any range, and Taylor was able to capitalise. An even better angle. Josh goes for the underhook, creates separation, and then catches him with the uppercut. Because again, from even see it there, Ramirez has literally switched off. His base is so wide. Then all of a sudden he squares up, and then Bosch gets caught slipping. This is Josh catching him with a straight left as Ramirez leans into that left hand. You'll see here, little touch, little half hook, and then the left hand comes. And you see how he moves his feet around the target. That was the difference. It was the footwork, it was the balance, it was the poise. And you see there, he's counter punching. He was exposing those moments all the time. And Josh didn't want to work. Dip, change level, and wrap him up. As for the fight itself, I personally had Taylor winning and winning well. I think it was an enthralling fight. Listen, it was an enthralling fight. It had drama. It was action-packed. It was relentless. It was everything that it was built to be. Credit to both men. Ramirez showed great heart. Great heart. I will touch on Kenny Bayless and some of his behaviour during the fight as we go on, or hopefully I'll remember at this time of the morning as I rush this video out. But let's put it into perspective. Josh Taylor was a level above tonight. I don't think that fight was any harder than the Regis Prograis fight. I believe Josh Taylor was just finishing business, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, getting the belts that he deserves. Regis Prograis fight was much harder than that, in my honest opinion. You wouldn't have believed that if you listened to Chris Algieri, that I've had to suffer with tonight, who I thought expected better from. As you can tell, my voice is a little bit hoarse at 4:25, in the morning. Him and Christina, is it Pouncher? My word, how bad that was tonight. That was absolute dross what I was listening to. You would have believed that Josh didn't have a chance in that fight. He wasn't doing anything until the knockdown, according to them. It was like Dumb and Dumber. It bugged me massively listening to it. But I could see Josh, listen, my thoughts are, you're not here to listen to their thoughts. You're obviously on the page to listen to mine. And obviously you're going to give yours. And I want you to, guys, get your comments in the comment section below. How did you see the fight? What next for Josh? What next for Ramirez? But look, at the end of the day, Josh was nervous early on. I could sense that. But once he was trying to do the right things, but he was doing it at the wrong time. He was holding his feet a little bit too long at the ropes. He wasn't quick enough off his back foot. And what I mean by that is he's holding his feet and he wasn't able to shift back and then counter like he did for the first knockdown. He just wasn't finding that range. That was partly to Ramirez's intensity, Ramirez's ability to cover the distance quick, his explosiveness, because of course he's fresh. And as David mentioned on the channel earlier this morning, he's got a good jab, Ramirez, and he was landing it well. And Josh was holding himself a little bit too long and he was getting inside. But because they overestimated Ramirez on the commentary, they overestimated Ramirez's inside game to the point that any time there was inside work, no matter what Josh was doing, Algieri and Poncha seemed to have the opinion that it was just terrible and that Taylor was going to lose the fight and he was getting beaten up. Josh was doing well inside. He was wrapping him up. He was wrapping him up, getting underneath him, changing levels, coming up underneath him, wrapping him up, turning him, pivoting. And he was landing that lovely little short uppercut, Kumbolo, into the midriff. And he was landing his own work. It was nip and tuck. Of course it would be. It's an undisputed title fight, guys. Of course it's going to be nip and tuck. But once Josh created that separation and started to be able to just shift that and find that range and start to get his own rhythm, and time Ramirez's attacks and that little bounce and then the leap in that he has to create it. That's when he caught him. And Josh was controlling him. It was one round, I think it was the round 3 or 4. Josh came out and started to use a conventional jab. For the first time in the fight, he started the fight trying to control distance, but he wasn't using a conventional jab. He was a lot of touching and pouring and circular motion, which is fine, but Ramirez was coming full quickly. So what he did, he held his feet, adjusted his angles slowly and short and swift, but he was doing it with a conventional jab, and that was keeping Ramirez at the end of his reach. And then from there, Ramirez was starting to become a stationary target. And then once he becomes stationary, he becomes indisciplined, and he walked him onto that shot, and the rest was history. Sometimes knockdowns don't particularly help a fighter, as odd as it sounds. Of course, tonight that's probably won him the fight. And let me just say that I had the fight. I felt Josh was in control throughout the fight. Yes, there was nip and tuck early, 2-2 after 4 for me, and then Josh started to run away with it, and then Ramirez, to his credit, was grinding away and trying and kept plugging away, and that's a champion's art, and massive kudos to him. But Josh was in control of that fight tonight. But what I would say is the knockdown sometimes take a fighter's focus away, and I felt that he was loading up a little bit too much, trying to land the big shot too much instead of just boxing and letting things come. But Kenny Bayless, whether it's incompetence, age, corruption, whatever it is, or all three, he helped Ramirez massively tonight. People, Ramirez fans and that will moan and, oh, Toler's dirt. No, that's boxing. That's professional boxing, guys. And you guys love watching it when your fighters are doing it and smashing up our fighters, and it's okay. Don't come complaining on here or other channels about the rough stuff when the fighter's actually fighting. And I think Josh was fighting clean tonight, to be honest with you, for the most part. Bayless was all over the place. His performances are deteriorating before our eyes, especially when you watch him in these big fights. He got caught behind Josh at one stage and nearly it could have caused a massive issue in the fight. The knockdowns, the time he took was robbing Josh, absolutely robbing him. I think Josh would have had him out of there, guys. I honestly believe that. Let me know your thoughts on that as well. I think Josh would have had him out of there if he was given the correct time. I think Bayless was doing as much to time waste, and I was surprised that I think Josh got done well to not get a point deducted, because that's what Bayless was looking for. Because Bayless was going to take a point, he was going to take maybe 2, but Josh done really well not to get involved. He got through the fight without having a deduction, and he looked brilliant. He looked well conditioned. Massive kudos, tremendous praise to Davison, to the strength and conditioning coach, and the rest of the team. Lee Wiley, all of them, massive credit, and to Josh himself, brilliant performance. Magnificent, one of the very best. And people won't like me saying this, but Shane McGuigan's coached a good fighter there, and his amateur coach, he's a hell of a fighter. Josh Taylor, beautifully balanced, wonderful to watch. Anyone who's got a young kid or who's an aspiring boxer, go away and watch this bloke and how he fights, how he can operate at different distances. That was the difference tonight. He had more in his skill set. But please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.